Congressman Sean Duffy is a Republican from the state of Wisconsin. He joins us. And Congressman, thanks very much for coming
Good
on.
Tucker.
So I don't think there's ever been anything like this. I can't remember members of a committee calling for the resignation of the chairman, ever. Why did they?
Well, it was because it's the death of shame here, Tucker. You have Adam Schiff, who, you're right, on the committee. I mean, this is a serious committee. I mean, you usually don't know the members of this committee. You don't know the chairman of this committee because
That's right.
they kind of work under the cover of darkness. And they're supposed to keep America safe. They're focused on Iran and North Korea and China and terrorists. And it's very bipartisan, working to keep Americans safe. But you have Adam Schiff out there who's not taking the Bob Mueller report, who he said was the gold standard and he was going to take seriously and accept. He's not accepting it. He's out there raising money. He's part of the resist movement. He's leading the resist movement, and he's trying to undo the election from 2016. And if I look at this, if you look at all the commentators, all the crazy commentators that got it wrong, even look at Clapper and Comey and Brennan, all used to work in the intelligence community, but they left that community and they went on TV and spewed the lies of Russia collusion. The only one who was still getting daily briefings, their daily job was intelligence, was Adam Schiff, and he'd get his intelligence briefings and then go to the media and lie about that intelligence to promote the story of Russia collusion. And you know what? He's lost the confidence of the Congress. He's lost the confidence of the American people, and he needs to step down because he's not trusted anymore. And we need to bring this committee back to one that works for the American people, give up the Russia collusion, and start to keep us safe. And one last point, Tucker, if I could. I am so proud of the American system. You know, you had the Democrat Party, you had Hollywood, you have big technology, you had the liberal media all trying to take down Donald Trump. And we should be celebrating tonight that the American system actually works. An investigation happened, and you have Donald Trump, who is, for the most part, exonerated, not charged with Russia collusion, because the American system is alive and well today in our country.
It's just, if you tell me the Earth is flat and I show you a picture of its curvature and you still believe it's flat, it says something about your capacity for reason.
So true.
All right. Thank you. Congressman, thanks very much.
Hey, thank you, Tucker.
Our top story tonight, the House Intel Committee devolving into an all-out war of words as Republicans on the panel demand that Democrat Chairman Adam Schiff step down over his continued claims that President Trump's campaign colluded with the Russians in 2016.
Your willingness to continue to promote a demonstrably false narrative is alarming. The findings of the special counsel conclusively refute your past and present assertions and have exposed you as having abused your position to knowingly promote false information. As such, we have no faith in your ability to discharge your duties.
My colleagues may think it's okay that the Russians offered dirt on the Democratic candidate for president as part of what was described as the Russian government's effort to help the Trump campaign. You might think that's okay. I don't think it's okay. I think it's immoral. I think it's unethical. I think it's unpatriotic. And yes, I think it's corrupt and evidence of collusion.
Yield?
I will not yield. Mr. Ambassador,
you are... yield because you just made some things about all of us that I think we all should get the opportunity to respond to.
I will not yield. You attacked me in your opening statement, and
I have not had an opportunity to respond at all, especially to your statements of what we think, because no one over here thinks that. No one over here, I mean, you cannot speak for us.
Well, Intel Republicans aren't the only ones calling on Schiff to step down. President Trump tweeting, quote, Congressman Adam Schiff, who spent 2 years knowingly and unlawfully lying and leaking, should be forced to resign from Congress. Joining me now, former chairman of the House Oversight Committee, Fox News contributor Jason Chaffetz. So, Jason, two questions. Should he resign, and will he resign? I suspect one is yes and one is no.
Well, I think what he should do is lose his security clearance. Without a security clearance, he can't serve on the committee. For him to lose the trust, albeit on the other side of the aisle, I have never seen it. Look, I had when I was chairman, I had a lot of contentious hearings, but there was always a respect and a decorum that went on there. Now, look at the way the committee operated before with Dutch Ruppersberger. We never had this problem. And look over in the Senate between We don't have these problems except with Adam Schiff. I don't think he should be the chairman, and I don't think he should have a security clearance.
And you know, there's an old expression in middle America, put up or shut up. He claims claims that he has seen evidence that for all the work that Robert Mueller did, for all the years that he was working at tracking down documents using 40 FBI agents, hundreds of subpoenas, etc., Mueller saw no evidence. He says, Schiff says, he has seen evidence of collusion. Put up or shut up, right?
Absolutely. And if you listen really closely what Schiff is saying, he's saying that the Russians were trying to do this, but juxtapose that against what Mueller's report, the synopsis by Attorney General Barr said. Yes, they did approach the Trump campaign, and on multiple occasions, they had the opportunity, and they didn't take it. They rebuffed it. So I got to tell you, Schiff has been singing this song for 2 years. It's full of lies. He's lost people's trust. And this is the Intel Committee. It's not supposed to be the political arm of the DNC.
And I love his false outrage where he says, you know, you might think it's okay for this to happen. I don't. You might think it's okay for Donald Trump Jr. to meet with a Russian woman. I don't think it's. Nobody asked him, do you think it's okay that Hillary Clinton's campaign paid $1 million for Russian disinformation? Do you think that's okay? Do you think it's okay that the FBI used an unverified, salacious report put together by Russian intelligence to get a FISA warrant to spy on a political campaign during the height of a presidential election? I mean, put it right back to him.
Look, Adam Schiff has been spewing this stuff for years, and there's no basis for it. But for him to continue now that the report has been summarized in its finality and there's nothing there and there are going to be no more charges. You know, one of the things, David, that I really worried about, I think you and I talked about this once before, the opportunity cost. There are a lot of threats against the United States of America, and how many times is this committee under Adam Schiff's direction going to ignore all the other things that need to go on in the world of intelligence to pick on this president?
Yeah, if he's seeing things that don't exist, is that the kind of guy you want in charge of our intel? Guys who are seeing these creations that are just made from I don't know what. I mean, made from stuff that certainly Mr. Mueller didn't see at all. Finally, I'm just wondering if he matters anymore. I mean, it's so clear now. He has been revealed as a peddler of lies. I mean, this was a lie from the get-go. It was a lie when Christopher Steele put it together. Whoever fed Steele that information from the Russians, however it was peddled by the Hillary campaign to all kinds of people, both on the right and the left. I mean, this was a peddling of lies, and he is the chief peddler. I'm wondering if he matters at all anymore.
Well, I don't think that journalists, so-called journalists or mainstream media should believe him. I don't think the American public could believe him. I don't think anybody else on the committee truly does believe him. He'd led everybody down a path that's not true. Here's the problem. He's in the gang of 8. He's one of 8 people that gets to see the same type of intelligence that the president gets to see. That's a problem, and that's why he needs to be pushed out of this position. Nobody can trust him. He's sold a bunch of lies to the American people, and he should lose that security clearance.
Well, it's like Ilhan Omar being on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. I mean, somebody who could be actually passing information, secret information, onto our enemies. There's a whole lot of stuff that is very dangerous for the United States right now that's going on in Congress. Congressman, thank you for being here.
I've heard, you know, with her, I've heard her see none of that evidence or even that allegation. So I want to be careful with that. But at the same time, this is up to Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi makes these types of decisions, and she entrusted Adam Schiff, but he's shown over 2 years. He's earned it. David, he's earned it. He needs to be off of that committee, lose his security clearance, and put somebody else. Another Democrat is going to get that position, put a different Democrat, and start to earn back the trust and deal with the intelligence challenges that are truly facing this country.
Jason Chaffetz, great to see you again. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
All right. In just hours from now, President Trump set to take his first victory lap since the completion of the Mueller report, clearing him of collusion. He'll rally supporters in Michigan, where we expect Mueller, Adam Schiff, and FISA abuses will all take center stage. Trump once again spiking the football about Mueller's findings before jumping on Air Force One.
This was a terrible thing that was put onto our country. Nobody's seen anything like this, probably never happened before. Beautiful conclusion I haven't seen the report. Beautiful conclusion, and there was no collusion at all. There never was. Everybody knew it. I wish it could have gone in 1 week instead of taking almost 2 years. But the result was great. No obstruction, no collusion.
And last night, the president said he's going to release FISA documents to help figure out how the Russia probe started. Trump also blasting Adam Schiff, saying he needs to resign for endlessly pushing the debunked collusion narrative for 2 years. And all of the Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee, which Schiff chairs, are demanding that he step aside. It led to this dramatic confrontation on Capitol Hill.
Your willingness to continue to promote a demonstrably false narrative is alarming. As such, we have no faith in your ability to discharge your duties in a manner consistent with your constitutional responsibility and urge your immediate resignation as chairman of the committee.
My colleagues may think it's okay that the Russians offered dirt on a Democratic candidate for president as part of what was described as the Russian government's effort to help the Trump campaign. You might think that's okay. I think it's immoral. I think it's unethical. I think it's unpatriotic. And yes, I think it's corrupt and evidence of collusion.
Ooh, okay. Well, before we get to that, Greg, I heard you have the drinks lined up for the 7 p.m. Michigan rally tonight with President Trump, and you can't wait.
You know, this isn't going to be a victory lap. It's going to be a victory marathon. It's amazing. He does deserve it. I mean, it's been 2 years. I feel bad for the audiences of CNN and MSNBC. What are they doing now? They're certainly not watching those networks. They're the other victims, those audiences, because they were fed or sold the journalistic equivalent of swampland. You know, they thought they were getting a condo, and they got swampland, and now they have PCD, which is post-collusion depression. The only cure is to turn the channel and watch Fox News and join the winners. But you can't forget how much this phony narrative could have damaged the country. This wasn't just a rumor. It was a pretty provocative charge that the president is a Russian plant. I mean, that could lead to an actual warlike conflict, and not just for the country, but for my personal life. Being married to a Russian, this was making my life hell.
You have enough problems.
I have enough problems. I don't need it. It's like, this thing is like every day. It's something. And Michael Schiff, Adam Schiff, him being the head of the Intelligence Committee, that's like Michael Moore being the head of Weight Watchers.
Ooh, ouch.
I had to end on a Weight Watchers joke.
Whammy. All right, Dana, advice for the president as he goes out on this victory tour, and this is kind of a big deal in the House Intelligence Committee. Has this ever happened before?
Well, I don't know if it has ever happened before, but I do know that the Intelligence Committee for a long time kind of never heard about it. Like, there was never any partisan strife on either side, but in the last, even going back into the Obama years, I think it sort of got that way. And to have all 9 Republicans sign a letter together, including members like Will Hurd and Elise Stefanik, so unanimously saying you ought to step down from your position. He's not going to step down, but anyway, that was a show of unity on the Republican side. I think this is very politically astute for President Trump to get out of Washington, because only in Washington are people talking about Russia and the Mueller investigation. Like, out in the country, they want to hear what he has to say, what he's going to do. And he's going to a place where, when it comes to re-election, he's underwater right now. And he's got some work to do to try to shore things up in Michigan. And, of course, he wants to win it again. Before he was talking about all the other things when he left this afternoon, he was talking about the economy, all the jobs that are coming back. So if I were those guys, I would try to get the president out of Washington, D.C. as much as possible, and not just to Mar-a-Lago. Go see America. The presidency goes by really fast. America is awesome, and I think that people want to see him.
Nationalist.
Okay, so maybe go, where would you go if you were the president and you wanted to spike the football? And besides Mar-a-Lago, obviously, they have a great golf course. If you would go somewhere else besides Palm Beach, where would you go?
I mean, honestly, I think his message gets everywhere instantaneously because he's the guy who tweets, because he's the guy that responds that way. I mean, I would focus on this for a minute. You got to do your victory lap, right? There's no collusion. You have to stress that. But I would also would pivot away at some point and also talk about jobs and talk about what all the people across the country are really craving, because there were so many people who were watching this go down that initially were like, all right, let's let the investigation play out, let's see what they have, and then at some point we're like, okay, this is a witch hunt, this has gone completely off the rails. So I think he's going to need a little bit of time just to say, I told you so, there was no collusion. And, you know, look, I don't know who at this point is listening to Adam Schiff and saying, that's my guy. You know, this guy, it's outrageous, really, what he did. Chair of the Intel Committee out on television trying to imply for a really long time that he had access to information that suggested, no, it's collusion. I don't know how this guy's not embarrassed. Forget about resigning. He should be bowing his head in shame everywhere. So I think that Trump, yes, you make a victory lap, but people know now. People really, really know, and there's very, very few people who are in the unhinged camp, even on the left. So say what you got to say, and then pivot on to what your plan's going to be for 2020 and how you're going to make this country even better than it is right now.
Right. So, Juan, very clear winners and losers after the Mueller report. And Schiff is a loser, obviously. And instead of, like, you know, you got to know when to hold him, know when to fold him, he should just fold and move on. But he keeps doubling down and saying he has evidence there was collusion. Even the members of his own committee saying, yeah, we did a whole investigation on this. You've been out there saying there's collusion. We've seen it. There's none.
Boy, I tell you, strong and wrong, and long. That's you. You don't stop. I mean, in fact, you know, I was looking at polls today. You know, CBS polls 60% of Americans saying it's too early to say that the president's been cleared. CNN, half say, hey, Mueller just couldn't prove it. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. That's America.
Come on.
From the media's point of view.
I'm just telling you what I know you guys don't want to hear the truth. But here's the thing. I don't even think the president's very good at victory laps, even if he wants to have a victory lap. The whole business about taking apart the Affordable Care Act has got Republicans in a tizzy right now in Washington. You want to talk about jobs and the economy? We saw commerce numbers out today. They pushed the numbers down in terms of GDP for the last quarter. 3% growth? Huh, Mr. President, doesn't look like it to me. And then, of course, he had to go back and say, oh, we're not going to take away money from Special Olympics because that was so awful and toxic. You had Republicans, Roy Blunt of Missouri, the senator, saying this is deplorable. So, oh, my God, this is Trump on a victory lap. This is Trump sinking further into the muck, in my opinion.
Well, I don't think he's sinking down. I think you'll see the poll numbers, Juan, as you like to cite, will pop big time after this.
They haven't popped yet, not even in terms of
they haven't even polled.
Yes, they have.
They've been snap polls after the Mueller report came back?
Not snap, but there were polls done after the Mueller report came out, and they showed people just aren't shifting their opinions based on this. And don't forget, we haven't seen the Mueller report.
Okay, well, I honestly urge you to just give it some time, and you'll see the numbers
If you see the Mueller report and it comes out and it absolutely also says there's no collusion, there's no obstruction, will that satisfy Democrats?
I'm dying for it, Jedediah. I mean,
we'll see.
Yesterday on Hannity, the president saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to put out a Pfizer report. I haven't done it before. Let's see that. If that's what you think is appropriate, put it out. How about pardons? He's now talking about pardoning people.
Okay.
Wow.
I think we should pardon you because you've committed a lot of crimes.
A
lot of crimes.
Yeah.
Crimes against the truth.